Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the BFG Podcast. Today we are here to talk about Wellington Phoenix women Brisbane Raw and Perth Glory versus the Wellington Phoenix men. Hello everyone, how are we today?
Hi, Blake.
Who would like to start? We're starting with the women.
Well, Dean and I had planned to go. Because it was so early in the day, we thought, they'll probably postpone it because of the heat. So we left it until Thursday night. We booked tickets. And then on Friday, we were very fortunate that Lily got in touch with us and said, look, we don't think the game is likely to go ahead. On Saturday, it's probably going to be moved to Sunday. And we managed to get credit for our flights. So that's really, really good. But I really wish that we were there, partly because it was such a good game. And partly because at this stage, the team has won 3 games total, and we have been present for every single one of them. And I'm pretty sure that's the common denominator. So it's so sad that Mickey's goal got chalked off, but what a game.
If you weren't there, it probably wouldn't have been chalked off.
Well, it was a real nail biter. There was a lot going on in that game. What do you want to start?
Mm-hmm.
You want to start at the beginning?
Yeah, so much.
All right. Should we start with the dreaded red card? Was that the beginning? Or was there a goal before the red card?
There was 1 goal.
That's right. It was Shay Connor's goal. She's
That's
good.
right.
Holy moly, she's good.
She is.
She is really good. And, a well-deserved goal. We got burned a bit on this one, and she just took off. She is a name that I will remember now.
I feel like so she got past Mac, and then it felt like nobody came out to meet her. So she just had this clear run. I'm not taking anything away from her goal and her run, but sort of she beat Mac, and that happens, and then nobody came out to actually close her down. So I think I was a little bit disappointed with the defence on that goal, but again, I'm not a defender.
Yeah.
And then we had to
for anyone to get past
sorry.
For anyone to get past Mac and then put a goal in past Bree, that's pretty special because Mac is not. She's a quality defender, and Bree's she's a pretty good goalkeeper. So that was a very, very good goal.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, was it? Yeah. I quite like the second one too.
Right, so Kate, who was it that got away from? Was it the same player? Was that also Shay?
I think it was Shay Connors again.
Okay.
I think she just, at least at the start of that match, she was great.
If we weren't allowed to pick player of the match for either of the teams, I would pick her.
She did do well. I think I kind of understand as a defender wanting to make that kind of foul, just to foul them to stop. But she should have known that there was a risk if you foul someone like that when they're on through and goal, that you might get sent off. And that's what happened, and that's much more costly than conceding the goal. Much more costly. So I was sort of a little bit, in the heat of the moment, I kind of don't blame her, but it was a little bit disappointing that foul was made when it was very clearly going to be a send-off, despite Jonathan's misunderstanding of the rules.
It's not about the rules, it's about the team. It's support the team. If something goes against us, we stagger, it's right against us, bloody referees. The rubber, the green, we're always getting knocked down, bloody Sydney conspiracy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Kate's gonna learn from that. She's probably sitting around huffing about it, and she's gonna hopefully learn from it. Because doesn't she have to sit out the next one too with a red card? So that's painful. That's a lot of pain, and we, our team is not deep. And
I mean,
Yeah.
I like Kate, but she's not. I love Kate. I got her name on the back of my current shirt. I feel like she's not been herself since she came back from injury a little bit, which is unfortunate. And now she had to sit out most of that game and will have to sit out this coming game. At least we've got a plan in place. Like you move Marisa into that centre of defence with Mac again, like we had when Kate was out. But it's disappointing to lose her again for a couple of games effectively.
Yeah, that's not good, is it?
Yeah, it is disappointing, but sorry, Blake, you go.
Yeah, it's not good. Yeah.
and
But
then
it does mean that, like if Marissa slides into that centre position, and that means Sass can come back into that right hand side, and that's not a bad thing because Saskia Vosper gives us more options. She's quick on that right hand side. So, but that's next week. Let's stick with this week. Sorry, go Denise.
I just I am hoping for all these women to just step up and keep pushing this team, and to our surprise they did. To our surprise, meaning like I was throwing my toys at that moment. I was packing a big sad, as they say over here. And then
What
Miracle.
about Foster? But Foster's wonder goal off the free kick was something special.
Yeah, that was cool. I didn't quite understand it. Did it take like a weird short hop bounce at the goalie's feet, or like I was like, what happened there? Or did it take a medium? Like where did it cross the keeper's sort of plane? Yeah, it was just in the net. I was like, what? What happened there?
Well, I have to go back and watch the game later. Normally, yeah. So we got the free kick. Foster put it in. And everyone's like, oh, 2-1. Okay. Oh, sorry. Just before Foster's free kick, just wanted to say that there were some fantastic touches between Kate Taylor and Chloe Knott early on in the game. And rather than the kind of playing it out from the back where we go sideways, Kate was linking with Chloe. So Chloe was playing a little deeper, and then she was putting on the gas and going straight up the middle. So hopefully we see a little bit more of that, because that took away those moments we were going, passing it sideways again.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then just wanted to add that in there. So that was a positive.
Yes. Yeah, I mean they didn't look jet lagged. I mean, except for that one decision. What else? I mean, then they got it together. That one goal was like, okay, we can do this. We have 10, they have 11. Let's go. And it was nice to see, because I was like, okay, yeah, you're taking us on a journey here.
Whatever this new formation or game plan they're doing, it's really good. A lot better than what they were doing before. So is it? So I haven't been able to crack it yet. Is it a formation change?
I mean, you're forced into a formation change when you have a player sent off anyway.
No. In general, because I noticed they're attacking a lot more the last two games.
I think it's connecting some passes, and Hassett is not just in there to block shots. She's in there to create some rhythm going forward, where everything, in a good way, felt, defensive. Now they just feel like they're looking up more, and I just feel like they're passing better and their eyes are forward.
But Cleek and Foster seem to be a lot wider, I've noticed. And it's just my TV monitor, but they seem to be a lot wider than before.
Yeah, I mean, they're using more of the pitch, for sure. I mean, they're playing like a professional soccer team. Although I will say something that really bothered me about the pitch. I brought my leaf blower with me, I was here. I mean, there's like leaves on the field. Like that doesn't happen in professional football. Come on.
Just for the record, not sponsored.
Like use this. Use a rake. Get those off the pitch. I felt a little bit like it looked like a high school match or whatever you call high school in Australia. Like, come on, spiff it up a little bit. Like the leaves are slippery.
I mean, there's nothing personal.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, I personally hate more than anything the seagulls at Amy Park. But yeah, no, the leaves aren't great. But I guess it's covered with there's gum trees all around, and I'm sure if you got rid of the leaves, they'd be back quite quickly. But I appreciate that you've actually brought your leaf blower in for show and tell, Denise.
Well, I mean, I think there's a general discussion about conditions, right? Like it was hot there were leaves, that let's just talk in general about those two things, or at least the heat.
Well, if you don't like the leads on the pitch, wait till we talk a little bit later on about the other game.
So just reversing back to your question, Blake, which is what's changed. I think Grace Wisniewski's changed. I think Grace didn't play much in the first half of the season. She didn't play a lot before Christmas. I think she's the key. I think she's the secret. I think she's the key that's unlocked the creativity and some of the flow in our team. And also back to something that Denise said, about eyes up. That's exactly what one of the commentators said at the beginning of the game when they were talking about the next. What are we doing now? She said, we're now playing eyes up football. So we're looking eyes up. We're looking for the players are getting vision. They're looking for where's the opportunity rather than kind of eyes down or being just more focused on connecting the passes. So I think those two things are what's changed. And it's funny because what you say about the pitch looking like a high school pitch, that's exactly what my wife said. She's like, are they playing at a girls' school or something? There's leaves everywhere. I was like, look, just okay, it's all right.
I'm looking at like some guy's porch here. I mean, I realized the grandstand was probably in the same place as the camera, but as someone who wants more people to watch the league, you want it in a professional looking place. And listen, this is what Brisbane has to offer, and I'm being a little tongue in cheek, and that's for them to figure out. But there can be minimum standards, and one of the minimum standards is not to have leaves all over the pitch. And if you want to add more camera angles, just make sure what you're pointing at is nice.
Yeah.
It's a little bit hard with
Okay,
those.
second half.
Oh, sorry.
You go, Holly.
It's a little bit harder with those smaller grounds because they do often only have one grandstand, and that's where they put the TV cameras because that's what's up. They don't have to put scaffolding, I guess. And so everyone sits there. So those little. I'm assuming it's used for NPL during winter. It is a pity that these clubs, so these teams do get sort of dumped on these less than great grounds. I'm sure they're cheaper to open and probably more appropriate to the crowd size you're getting in. But there is a downside to that, and that's that the facilities are often not as good. In fact, there was discussion last season at one point, I don't know which field it was at, but it was Brisbane Roar, and there were like toilets there that like doors didn't lock. And like these are professional players holding the door shut for each other because the toilets don't lock. And that's actually, for me, when I heard that, I was like, yes, welcome to like the whole pyramid of women's football everywhere. But so there are these really stupid chronic problems. So I don't know whether the trick is to try and push these games into bigger, nicer locations, or whether we just really desperately need to upgrade a lot of the facilities that are across that NPL level of the ground. I don't know, and it all involves money. Either way involves money, but just a comment on that.
Well, for me, I think they should be doing maybe not next season, but the season after, or 2026, They seem to be doing double headers all the time, like synchronizing the schedules so that they can do the games together at the proper stadiums.
Yeah, I mean, the Phoenix don't have it down because, our stadium is in an oval and we have our own problems there. So fair enough. I just want, the league to be more and more professional. And yeah, I'm just going to have my friend here for the rest of the podcast because, they did, not, regardless of the setting, they came back. Let's talk about their comeback.
Okay, so at halftime, Brisbane go in. They're up 2-1, and it's like, okay, so what's going to happen? So on the old Twitter, I was like, okay, maybe we change formation. I was like, okay, let's hope that Grace Wisniewski has a big second half. Hello, Grace had a great second half. She got a banger of a goal.
Yes.
What a half! Honestly, I think that's the most exciting half of football I've watched from all season. I was literally sitting on the edge of my seat towards the end going, come on, hold on. And when Wiz got ball, when that ball rolled to her and she touched it, I was sitting in my chair going, go Wiz! And then bang, she put it in the net. I was like, yes!
Yeah, that was an awesome goal. Blake, what did you think? You like that goal?
Yeah, that was my favorite of the lot.
I yelled, hit it, from Sydney, and I'm sure she heard me. It was a wonderful goal and so rewarding for Grace as well.
Yeah. And then at the not much happened with Brisbane in the second half, did it? No.
Well, we it was 2-2, and then we went ahead and got a third goal. I'm just trying to remember who got the third one. It was Millie, wasn't it?
Clear, yeah.
Millie somehow magically beat the keeper.
She's a good player. Really like her. Yeah.
And then we had the controversial Mickey Robertson's goal being chalked off for a supposed offside.
Did anyone catch that?
I don't think we'll ever know because the camera angle wasn't there. And that's kind of part of the leaf blowing, not up to standards. Like we don't have a camera angle of that. And so we'll never know what really happened on that play. Maybe someone with an iPhone or something like that. There really is a possibility because she is wicked fast that she was onside. And that used to happen to Lynn Williams all the time. She used to be called offside obsessively because she was so fast that people didn't believe that she could actually get that far ahead to the ball where she was. But again, no idea because we don't, that standard, that quality wasn't there.
So that brings us back to more things about the quality as well. And this discussion that you and I had on Facebook, Denise, about the fact that the women don't have VAR, unlike the men. And I feel like that it's really mixed whether people like VAR or not. I personally, if it's used properly and if we actually heard about the decisions, I do actually like it. But this was one of those opportunities where you thought, well, actually VAR would have been good for us. Do you guys want to see VAR in the dub, or are you more of a purist that it's too disruptive?
If we had VAR, it would give us something else that we could complain about when we don't win.
Yeah, I actually love VAR. I think, listen, the hairline stuff or the keepers moving just the tiny little bit before the ball is hit on a penalty or something like that is it's a little bit mind numbing, but in general I do like it. I mean, the quest to have a better understanding of what actually happened, I'm all for.
Yeah. I would like to see it in the women's competition as well, just to have that another level of fairness between the two leagues, so that they're not a different class. Yeah.
Or even on goals, like that Wisniewski saved a ball, right? And it was incredible play, right? But part of me was like, hey, if we had VAR, we'd know how close that was. We know if it actually went over. I don't think it went over. I don't think it was close to going over. But, from our angle, our like one camera angle, how would we know?
Yeah.
Nah, Denise, that wasn't mild. No, she said that was a mile. It wasn't even close to going in. Come on.
I mean, refs are there to make those decisions, and you do just have to trust that the ref makes the best decision. And refs make mistakes, So you could think, okay, if that ref had been having a bad day, and that Grace save should have been a goal, but then they could have turned around and said that Ricky Robertson was onside. It's frustrating when there are mistakes from VAR. There are mistakes with refs, and it's just part of the game. So we'd like to know, but at the end of the day, it is the ref that makes the decision, and we're not standing on the sideline. We might be yelling at the TV, oh, that wasn't offside, but we're not the ones on the sideline with the years and years of training to get to that level.
Yeah, I'm not one to complain about refs, but I'm a technology nerd, and I love technology, and I think it can enhance the game, and I would like to see some more money spent on production.
Just on a slightly different tack, can we just take a moment to appreciate how good Chico's cross was that came into Mickey Robertson that got chopped off? Out to that, we haven't seen a lot of Chico lately, just because she just hasn't made this she was in the squad last week. She didn't come on because of different reasons, but today she came on, and that cross from a high, she's a wing back, but she just played this beautiful cross that Mickey pounced on and bang. But that was beautiful to see. And the other thing is, if when Coach Nat is looking to sign for next year, we really need to get that crossbar from the game today, because that saved us 3 goals. Honestly, there were 3 goals that Brisbane could have had, and that crossbar kept them out.
You're hired. Yeah, that was.
That does bring us. We can still talk about the match a bit, but there seems to be, between the little corner of yellow and the flight of the next discussion groups about who the player of the match was, and someone suggested that the crossbar should be the player of the match. My suggestion actually was that the result from last week is player of the match, because I think earlier in the season, losing a centre defender to a red card, being 2 goals down, and then immediately after that, I think it would be very easy to fold as a team, and to come back and to actually almost win the game. I kind of feel like it was last week's result that had that confidence. Now, obviously, we can't actually award the player of the match to last week's result. It seems to have been a discussion between Clegg and Wiz. Where are we at with that? What do we think?
Let's go with. Well, I got outvoted again, so let's just go with Clegg.
Yeah, let's go with Millie. Millie. Yeah, like I tweeted, every time Millie touches the ball, it's like your heart skips a beat. What's she going to do this time? Where's it going to go? Is she going to shoot? What's going to happen? And she's magic.
I actually feel the way with both of them. They're both magic, and even Foster, with some of her, crosses and some of her, there's a little bit of magic there with all 3 of them. Clegg is just wasn't she 17? What's that? What are you doing, Holly?
We could cut the award in half.
No, I think you should give it to someone, but that's very cute.
It's a thought. We could cut the award in half.
Has Clegg been player of the match before?
That shouldn't matter, but no, she hasn't.
Yeah.
I think she probably, on balance, But yeah, it's hard to make it. Sometimes it's a real standout, and you can make these decisions quickly.
Yeah.
But other times you just think, so and so did this and so did that. But yeah, we'll go with Clegg and Wiz as a close second, and a close third the crossbar, and honourable mention the result that we had last week.
There you go.
Just I'm going to give you all an earworm, because before we jumped on this chat, we were having the old Facebook Messenger with a couple of people, and I pointed out that we don't know how long we're going to have Millie for. She's 17. She's an academy player. It's very likely she'll end up playing for scholarship in the college in the US. And that old earworm of a song, when I'm gone, you're going to miss me when I'm gone. It's like, that's Millie. That's Millie's song. We're going to miss her when she's gone.
I hope not. I mean, I hope she stays. It doesn't, and this is an American saying this, it doesn't have to be the path anymore that you go to the States. I mean, it's nice to get a free education at a big university, but you can get a free education here in New Zealand. And the other thing is, players don't have to get their education when they're 18, 19, 20 years old. If they want to play for a while and get their education after, the world can work in very different ways now.
I think it would be a really smart investment for the club to recognise this kind of talent. And it might not be possible because she is a scholarship player at the moment. She's an amateur, but sign her for 3 or 4 years and then just reap the transfer money. I know the transfer money is not big, but often I guess clubs are in a financial position where they sign you for the upcoming season, and then when the season's over and some big club comes along and snaps you up, you're not getting any financial benefit from that. So, which is what I thought we had done with maybe Alyssa, because we signed her to a 2-year contract, and I wondered whether it was something to do with that as well. But just a thought, but I don't know whether it's possible. Said she's an amateur because she might go to the States.
Yeah, and like you said, it depends where you go, what team you're playing for, if you're getting playing time. Lily Alfred fell, at LSU, which is an enormous school and a really big program, very intense sports there, did well and came back and surprised everyone. Whereas, you're
playing game time there. She said it actually. So when I spoke to her at some stage, and she said it was perhaps not as good for her career as it could have been because she just sat on the bench. She got one game in. She said she made a heap of mistakes, and then she just sat on the bench. And maybe it wasn't. I mean, obviously you're getting an education out of it. There's more to it than that. But yeah. I will support Clegg going to become a Tar Heel at UNC. Other than that, I think she should just sign for the Knicks.
Here's a question. So what if we, and this is a really odd comparison, but what if they had a system like they do in rugby where they can sign 3 or 4 year, 5-year deals, but have a sabbatical in between? Well, so but in football, or in our case, rather than having a sabbatical, they can have a year or 2 years at college and then come back to their professional team, whether that is being at Brisbane, United in the UK, or whatever. Would you like something like that? No.
No, I think, you don't want to be at a different age when you're going into university in the US. You're going to be 18. She's 17 right now. You're going to be 18. That's going into your freshman year. She right now would be the time she would be figuring out what school to go to, if she was going next year. And so, Millie, if you need any advice, you got 4 people who are, backseat drivers here on your career.
Before we end the segment, anything else?
From me, I thought it was spectacular. Oh, sorry. I thought it was spectacular that the Knicks women were able to not only hold their own, but fight back from 2-0 down to a 3-3 draw against a team like Brisbane, who has some big name and some quality players in there. that I think that speaks heaps. That speaks volumes about how far we've come, and what Holly was saying about how much resilience and courage this team has.
Absolutely. In fact, we should have opened it with that statement. I mean, that's our sentiment exactly. Really proud of this team. You know, the sweetest moment was when Wiz scored her goal and she went over to Natalie Lawrence and just gave her the big hug. And to me, that was a sign of a healthy team. Like, I don't know what that was about other than like magic and relationship and, you know, like we're doing this kind of thing. But it was a nice moment.
Yeah. I'm really liking the bonding that the team is showing recently. I think that's really cool. That, you know, it almost, and sorry for all the rugby references, but it reminds me of the New Zealand Seven Sisters. That's what it started to remind me of. That team bonding, that family bonding, that, you know, it's wonderful to see. It's wonderful.
I think Holly gets the last word tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, not sure why, but we will. They've got. I think their next game is going to be February 11th. Is it the 11th or the 10th? Oh, look. Anyway, we will be at their game in Western Sydney Wanderers. We'll be out there at that match, which will hopefully be a good one because we have had some joy out at that field before. I don't know if they have a match in between then. But like, here's Western Sydney Wanderers are quite dangerous now, I have to say. So, but we can still hope that we might get some points. But I think that might be our next match for the women, or is there another one in between? Is this our bye week? Is my question. Oh, it doesn't matter. Anyway, here's to our next points, our next win. The last 2 weeks have been really, really impressive, especially under the circumstances for today. So. Really awesome. Yeah, the next match is 12th of February, so we're looking forward to that. Hope they have a good race.
And the next home match is up in Albany.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Auckland. Are we going to that?
I won't be traveling to Auckland, but you guys probably will, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. And so as many fans as possible join us. We'll grab a sign, we'll take it up, and we'll check out that stadium and that market. And it feels like it's a little bit more intimate, but still feels professional. I'm really looking forward to that venue. So I'm going to get some tickets.
Hopefully Michelle Morris from the Cove will head over and catch up with her.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming to talk about the women's with Denise. We will be right. We will be right back to talk about the men after this. Do you want to find the BFG podcast on all your favorite audio platforms? Then all you have to do is search BFG Podcast on any of your favorite audio platforms. That's BFG Podcast on any of your favorite audio platforms. Now back to the video. And we are back on the BFG Podcast to talk about the men's match against Perth Glory. So what do we think, Holly and Jonathan, about the men's match?
Switching up the ring of fire for the ring of dirt, and the pitch looks terrible. I mean, to be fair, they do have a speedway that goes around there, so there are race cars, and apparently there was a demolition derby a couple of weeks before, which also probably wrecked the pitch. I get the sense that there just wasn't anything better on offer for the club, and that's why they went there. But it's unfortunate that the pitch was so poor. But it was an exciting game.
Yeah, a lot of people were complaining about the pitch. Now, if it hadn't have rained, I reckon it would have been a lot better. Yeah.
I kind of agree with you, Blake, but I think there were big patches where grass was just missing and you could see where tyres had been on the pitch. And so what happened, particularly in that first half, is both teams came out and they were playing really narrow football. Like they were doing short passing. They weren't going in for tackles. There was not so much there wasn't a lot of, not confrontation, but there wasn't a lot of challenge happening because players were worried about getting hurt, which I think diminished the game in that first half. Fortunately, the players adapted and, it did turn out to be a good game. But early on, both teams, and we even saw Ollie Sale, he had a few tumbles and it was like, what's going on? The studs weren't bearing. And as much as we'd like to say maybe the rain put a little bit of grease on the field, I think that the problems were bigger than that.
Yeah. And so how did you feel about Zavada scoring yet another goal? He just come into form really well. I really enjoyed that.
Well, the commentators were saying that we're halfway through the season and Zavada's scored enough goals already this year that he could have taken the golden boot out and from last season. So he's got 7. Last year we had 3 players who got 6 and we're only halfway through the season. So he's in fantastic form. What do you think, Ollie?
Yeah.
It was good. I think that the fans have really taken to him too. At the Central Coast match, the Fever took up a chant for him that they kept up for ages. Like they didn't sing it a couple of times; they sang it constantly for what felt like must have been like a good 10 minutes. It was like constant, and every time they would sort of lull, the drummer would like beat them back into doing it again. So like that, he's become really popular with the club for these, the form he's in, which is great to see.
Yeah. So, and then the second goal was Barbarousis. A great like cross. If I remember correctly, a good cross, right? That's right. So a good cross and a tap into that. He had another good game in this second and third quarter. He really stepped up, and another one of those players that I got really good. And then shortly after that second goal, David Williams replied straight back. So coming back to Vida's old team, and that won't be the only time, as we will talk about in a minute. But what do you think about David Williams coming to Honda's old side?
David Williams is class. He is a classy player. There's not much he can't do. Like I don't think he gets quite enough recognition around the league for how good he is.
That run was incredible. Like the cross was brilliant as well. The finish was brilliant, but the run he just made, like lost all the defenders, just got just that gap where that ball came and he had space to play it into the back of the net. It was really, really classy.
Yeah, so we went into the unless I'm forgetting something. Was it halftime 2-1? It was, right? Yeah. So and then shortly into the second half, the controversy started. So the red card. What do we think about that?
It was a cynical foul for me. He isn't even Tim Payne is not watching the ball. Tim Payne has not watched the ball. Tim Payne has turned and looked at, was that David Williams or Ryan Williams? I don't know. The player. He had looked at the player coming through and had intentionally knocked him. That's a foul. absolutely that's a foul. I think the question has been asked whether it was a dog so a denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity. I think today's dog so with the woman with Kate, I think it was very clear. There was no question about that. There seems to be question about whether the Tim Payne foul was really a dog so. The ball wasn't exactly at his feet. Would he have gotten there? There were other defenders. It's kind of hard to tell whether something is a dog so. And obviously everybody who's a New Zealander or a Knicks fan is going to be biased and screaming that it's not. And then there's bias all the time. But I don't know. I think when the ball has played through like that, and then you still choose to make that kind of tackle, that's the risk you take. And it was a stupid tackle to make. Whether it was actually really a dog so, I don't know. But you make a tackle like that, and that's the risk you take.
Yeah. And then not long after that, we had William scoring a second goal. I'm going to get tongue-tied, so I just said William. So we had that second goal. Did we prefer the first one or the second one? First or second?
I'd go for the first. I thought that first goal was an absolute banger. That's my personal view.
Yeah. And it was quite funny the whole game to see Ufi on thin ice because if you don't know, for those of you that don't follow the news, he needs one more to get banned. So yeah, all the journalists and all the fans on Twitter were like, "Oh, I think it happened today. Is it gonna happen today? Oh no, wait, someone else got a yellow card. It wasn't him." So he lives to find another week.
Yeah, as you say, he's on thin ice. I actually thought at one point I saw him walk. He had come outside of their area, their box, just because of the camera coverage. But it actually turned out it was the fourth official. It was just that they were both wearing a similar colour of thing, and I was like, "What's Ufi doing all the way down there?" But and then when one of his team got a yellow card, it's like, so yeah, maybe next week. Watch this space.
But I love how he says in the presser, I love how he says, "I'm not going to change who I am who I am." I love that.
Chiefy has a great, that's the assistant coach, he has a great record as head coach because he had to do it when Ufi had COVID, I think, last season. So you know what? If Ufi has to take the week out, I know we're in good hands with Chiefy at least.
Yeah. But the whole staff is great. We're in good hands.
Someone there's a couple of players we haven't touched on yet, and who both had good games yesterday and have been doing all right. One is Ugarkovic, who's actually played really well all the way through. And yesterday, Mirages actually stood up, and he had a really good game. Mirages, I thought he was very good, especially when we were down to 10 and we really needed him. Wooten was out. Clayton Lewis is out with a busted knee. So these other guys are stepping up. They're stepping in and stepping up, which was great to see.
People are saying that he's one of the best loan signings like the league has had or something.
I think it's been interesting with him because he started at the beginning of the season. He's on loan from the Jets, and he played the beginning of the season, and then there was this weird interlude where he wasn't even in like the travelling squad. He was actually playing for the reserves team, and it wasn't like a one-off, and it wasn't like he was injured because he was clearly fit enough to play for the reserves team. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened there, why he was put in the reserves team, why he was brought out again. Maybe it was to show him like maybe you need to put in more effort or something, be good enough for the first team. I don't know, but I did think it very strange to like sign a loan player have them play for a little while, put them in the reserves for a few weeks. But whatever's been going on with him, it's been working. He's been great. And Callan Elliott as well.
What you got to remember, though, is sometimes it's about squad depth as well. And sometimes if they are not willing to buy, the only way you can get them is loan. That might be what they have to do. So, like,
or put the effort of getting a loan player from another A-League club to put them in the reserves team. That's sort of the question for me, right? Like having someone who's lifted from the reserve, plays for a little while, goes back down to the reserve, that makes more sense. But having put Moragas in reserve, honestly, like I said, I don't know what happened, but he's in good form now.
Would you like to see us buy him permanently for a couple of years? Is he the type of player that you'd like to see us actually grab?
So our backup is Sam Sutton, who I'm quite fond of. So I don't know.
Yeah. What about you, Jonathan? Would you like to see us purchase him, buy him?
It's a good question. I mean, really, we have to look at who's coming off contract at the end of the season and see who we're going to, who's going to hang around. It would be to have that depth with that really good defensive mid, but who knows? I don't know. I'm buying him seems like a bit of a jump, a bit of a leap, but especially given that the Knicks need a strong defender. We need a centre back who can really bring some class, and so we don't want to spend what finances we do have on another defensive mid or a midfield player if we've already got quality there. But he would not be a bad buy. It just depends on who's in the market. What can we get?
Yeah. So talking of the next game, it's Melbourne victory on Friday night. So what do we think of our chances in Melbourne?
I think it's all sort of up in the air. Like Melbourne Victory are generally a classy team, but they're 12th. They're at the bottom. Which is wild because I mean they were wooden spooners a couple of seasons ago, deservedly, and then they had this massive comeback with a really great season last season, including winning the Australia Cup. But this season has just been really dire. Nanny didn't really fire, and then he is injured anyway. I don't know what's going on with them, but look, let's hope that we can jump on the beating Melbourne Victory bandwagon and score some more points because we're still 4th on the table, but the more points, the better.
Finally, I feel a bit sorry for the league, and this is relevant because it was Perth's turn last season. That Daniel Sturridge and Nanny haven't worked out the previous 2 seasons. It's very sad that, a big marquee hasn't worked out and kind of flopped.
I think Nani has been better than Sturridge. I mean, the problem with Sturridge isn't just that he basically never played. It was also the fact that he didn't apparently want to do any kind of like public relations or media or anything like that. Whereas like at least some of the big name marquees like Charlie Austin and Nani were a little bit more open, they've both been on the A-League's All Access and stuff like that. So in some ways they've been better. But yeah, you're right. It's another big name that's not worked out in the long term.
Even Austin was a bit of a flop. It was just sad. Would you like?
So I think now, Blake. Let me get my 5 cents in.
Yeah.
I think we'll roll Victory. I think it'll be close. I don't think it's going to be a runaway. Maybe. Okay, let's go 4-2 to the Knicks.
Okay, 4-2. Ollie, what's the score for you? I'll go 1-0.
Yeah, I reckon there's probably only one goal in it. I don't know what. It depends on who's got their scoring boots on. They could still turn around and beat us comfortably. That's the thing. I don't know. I just hope. I'm just happy for us to kick victory while they're down. As mean as that sounds, I would be happy to kick them while they're down to get us a few more points.
All I was going to say was I hope the league can keep the marquee thing going and make it a bit better than it has been. So, unless anyone else...
Sorry, just on that, Blake. Just on that, Blake. There was news this afternoon that Wanderers have signed I don't know if he's a marquee player, but he's a pretty big signing out of the UK to come in through the transfer window. So potentially Wanderers could have signed someone who's going to turn, really bolster their season. So let's wait and see what happens. I'm not even going to try and say the player's name because I would just butcher it. But I think Wanderers is someone to watch out for.
I know the one you mean, yeah, but I can't say it either. Yeah, we'll leave it there. You can now follow us on Spotify and all your favorite audio platforms. But if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe this video, and we will see you on the next one.